Welcome to Freedom Cast, where your hosts, Jordan and Miranda, show you how to get just a little bit more out of life. Are you ready to leave normal behind?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to
Freedom Cast, leaving normal behind.
I'm Miranda.
And I'm Jordan. We are going to be your co-hosts for this show. We just wanted to start out this show by giving a basic introduction about us. We just want to talk about what the show is going to look like, but we'll get to that in a little bit. First, we just wanted to give you guys a basic introduction. Me and Miranda are married. We live here in Huntersville, North Carolina. We very much affiliate ourselves with the Christian faith. We attend Life Fellowship Church, and we are very happy to be there. We both grew up on the East Coast. I am originally from Maine, and Miranda's from Pennsylvania. We lived in Pennsylvania before North Carolina, but we just recently moved down here a couple years ago. I guess that's recent, right, Miranda?
I would consider it recent.
I'll consider that recent enough to count it. I've been continually moving down south. I hate the cold, so I am loving this hot weather. Not even that excited for November and December because it's a little bit too cold at that point for me.
If it dips below 60, we're in trouble.
It's a little too cold for us. We consider ourselves entrepreneurs. We just recently left our jobs. We were working in a retirement community here in, near here. We were in Davidson, North Carolina. We were working at Williams Place. Very happy to be there. We worked as assistant managers with the residents that live there. Wonderful job as far as serving and giving back, but it just was taking a little bit too much out of us, and we decided to venture on our own. Miranda is still searching for her passion, and we are working diligently to try to find that for her. And I'm striking out into the world of entrepreneurship, and I am so excited about it. We're starting this podcast. I'm delving into my writing more books, writing more blog posts, doing more audio work. I'm just very excited. I love self-gearing myself for the day, making daily schedules, and really being disciplined. I definitely enjoy that. I'm glad that I don't have a boss. I'm glad that I'm my boss. I'm hoping to avoid that for as long as possible. So we're going to keep trying to make this work. And I'm just going to keep fighting until I get there. Right, Miranda?
You got it. We're going to just keep doing what we're doing, and we're just living life and seeing what's happening.
Exactly. And we did just want to share, our second episode is going to be more about Jordan and Miranda. It's going to be our story, just so you can get to know us better. We want to share our history as far as how we met, how we eventually made our way down to North Carolina. But this episode is about the podcast, but we did want to share one little story, and I'll let Miranda tell you that story.
Oh, okay. So basically, while we were still living in Pennsylvania, it was a very cold winter, and we were living in an apartment that was about 100 years old. It had high ceilings, was really drafty, and
everything in it was old. The doors were old. We were in an old-fashioned, ancient bathtub. I don't even know what you call those things, Miranda, do you?
It's one of those clawfoot bathtubs that are about 500 pounds.
That I actually slipped in once when I was taking a shower. And
hilarious.
Very scary, but very hilarious. Miranda was laughing more than crying at that point, but
yes, so we were very cold because if we heated it like we should have, it would have cost about $800 for the winter. About that much, I think. So
probably even more. We were paying a pretty penny for that oil heat.
Yes, and we were only at that point living in about 2 of the rooms out of the 5 there were. So, and the rent was really cheap, so that was good.
Yeah, but this story is just to demonstrate that me and Miranda are a little bit weird, and to show you why we can be hosts of this podcast entitled "Leaving Normal Behind." We did not want to pay for that oil heat. We wanted to winter-proof our apartment, and we actually did. We got those old-fashioned plastic wraps that wrap the windows. We put blankets up to make sure the heat wouldn't escape up to the second floor.
Well, we put blankets up in the doorways. It looked really classy.
Yes, it looked extremely classy. We enjoyed it. I don't know if we would have invited high-class people over there.
And we bought little electric heaters that we used in whatever room we were in at the moment, or we would prep the room. We had a little one in the bathroom, and if we'd turn it on 5 minutes before we went in.
And the even funnier part about that is we actually named those heaters, but we're weird, but we're not like super weird. So we named them just to be funny. I'm trying to remember.
That's pretty weird, but that's all right.
It's pretty weird, but that's okay. Yeah, we are all about just doing whatever we have to do, and in our financial I can't say that word, financial situation at that time, we were struggling. So we decided that we wanted to just do the best we could with what we had. We didn't want to move. Our rent was really cheap, but we also didn't want to pay for heat. So we decided just to winterproof our apartment. And if any friends are listening and remembered what that apartment looked like, we're sorry. But that's just how we are.
Yes, we still didn't turn the heat on if we had guests over.
No, we made them sleep with blankets and in the cold. And we offered to give them, one time my sister stayed over and we offered to give her our heating blanket. But that's just about it. We still didn't turn the heat on in the actual apartment, even though it was about 25 degrees out one night.
Yeah, so now we want to kind of tell you why we're doing the podcast, because you may be wondering, what's this podcast about? Why are they doing this? Why should I listen? So we have 7 reasons of why we are doing this podcast. And the first one we kind of already said, we want to share our story. We feel like we have a unique history. We have different perspectives, I think, from working in a retirement home, from being really cheap when we have to be.
Not a lot of 28 and 27-year-olds will work together in a retirement community as managers. We were actually younger than any other manager within the company by about 20 years. The average age for managers were retired, upper 50s and their 60s. So for us to be working that job was just strange. We had so many people ask us and say, "What are you doing?" But we said we just enjoyed it, and we did. Until we got a little bit burnt out with it, we really did enjoy it. We enjoyed it so much more than we even thought we would.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny because we did stick out like a sore thumb when we would go to meetings with all the other assistant managers.
Oh, yeah.
People would be bashing on millennials, and we'd be sitting there like, "That's us."
We'd raise our hands like, "Hey, guys.
We're here." And we think we represented the millennials well, I believe. And I think that was also a neat experience with that. So that's reason number 1. We want to share our story with people. Reason number 2 is we want to encourage others. We believe we are very positive people, and we believe there is a lot of negativity in the world today, and it can get overwhelming. So we want to be that positive voice that you can listen to in your car, at home, that can kind of just give you a boost for the day.
Yeah, and we want you to know that you don't have to settle, and we want to share that with you. We'll talk more about what we're going to be, giving you guys as far as content in the podcast, but we're really just here to be positive and just to let you know that we got your back, and, there's so much more. There's so much more that people can do with their lives, and we just want to share those stories.
Yeah, we don't want anyone to feel like they're stuck in a job or life is feeling lackluster. We want to just open people's eyes and encourage them. Reason number 3 is because Pat Flynn said we should.
Yeah, Pat Flynn is the podcast person over at Smart Passive Income. He was probably actually the first podcast I ever listened to. I still listen to him pretty much every week when he comes out with a new episode. He's big in the smart passive income field and just the online business field.
He's one of Jordan's man crushes.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite people. I'm not going to go so far as to say man crush.
Pat Flynn, Boston Rob, who's number 3.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
There's
guy,
a third.
Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay.
Gotta love Gordon Ramsay. Anyways, he is said to do it because it's a good way to share. We've already had so much fun with this. Even just, we haven't even published anything yet as of the recording of this first episode, but we're having so much fun.
Yeah, it really is. It's fun to do this, and I would encourage anybody that wants to, hey, go for it. Why not? What's stopping you? So that's reason number 3. And reason number 4 is we want to reach more people than we would with just a website or a blog or an email list. A podcast is really an awesome way to reach more people because you can listen to it while you're on a run, you can listen to it in your car, you can listen to it while you nap on the couch. So it really is a cool way to reach people in that way. So that's reason number 4. Reason number 5 is because we are definitely in the process of learning, and we just jumped into this, Jordan doing this full time about a week ago. So we obviously have a lot to learn, and we believe that by doing this podcast and by interviewing different people, it'll give us a really great chance to talk to different people, get different perspectives, hear other people's ideas, and while doing that, you really learn a lot yourself, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to add there and how cool it will be to have guests, because the conversations you can have in a podcast, and what I've heard on a lot of podcasts too, as far as ones that have guests on them, those conversations aren't happening every day. In this kind of medium, we're asking those questions that, people are not generally having these conversations with their friends. And we're really excited to bring people on and ask them those tough questions and really kind of share their stories and really just give you a lot of that benefit as well from hearing those stories.
Exactly. And reason number 6 is we want people to know us better. So this kind of goes hand in hand with sharing our story, but I believe this is a great way to share our story and also put ourselves out there in a way. We both, Jordan and I, classify as introverts, so we definitely
very much
think this will be a great way to just get out and push ourselves, push our limits, and grow as people overall, which is really exciting.
Yeah, and we want people to, be able to see us and just to know more about us, as Miranda said. And, like we alluded to before, we are Christians, and we do want to share God's love through this podcast. And there'll definitely be a spiritual component to it. There'll definitely be some podcasts where we don't touch on that, but we just want our own personalities to shine through, and that's a big part of it. That's something we believe, and we don't force that belief on anyone. So don't think that this podcast is going to be about that. But we do just want to note that we're going to be sharing those things, and we hope that's okay with you.
Yeah, we want to be completely open and honest, and just completely out there for people if people need anything, and just being out there to share our story. And reason number 7. Is that we want to help people. We want people to find their passion. We want people who are feeling stuck in a job or who are feeling depressed about life. We want to be there for those people and just inspire people to, take that chance, push their limits, and just grow. Because it can be hard in this world to find the courage to put yourself out there, because there's a lot, like I said before, a lot of negativity and a lot of people that will tell you can't do something. And we want to be the people in your corner that say, hey, you can do it. And, sometimes you...
Yeah, what's stopping you?
Yeah, you may fail. Everybody fails, but failure just teaches you more in the end anyway. So better to fail and then try again than to just not try at all.
And I'm raising my hand through that whole thing.
So those were the 7 reasons why we are doing this podcast. Now, Jordan's going to tell you why you should listen to this podcast, because that's equally important.
Yeah, we want to share just some reasons why you might want to listen. We're, like we said before, we're going to be giving people some ideas on how things can be different. We want to leave normal behind, but we want to do it with you. We want to share different things that you can do. Different things that we're doing and different things that our guests are doing with their lives that are just bringing them joy. We want people to know that there's so much more out there. I know we've said that, but we really are very passionate about that.
Sound a little bit like a broken record, but that's okay.
Yeah, we don't think that everyone needs to go out there and ditch their 9-to-5 jobs and get this. We want to make that very clear. If you're in a 9-to-5 job and love it, that's awesome. More power to you. We just want people to be able to find joy. We don't want you to feel like you're stuck in this job just because that's what you have to do. You don't have to do things just because. which I'm sure you know that, but we just want to share just some positive stories of people that have really kind of stepped out there and done things a little bit differently. We want to help people get out of their rut. Not everyone listening to this will be in a rut, and that's just fine. But if you are out there and you find yourself in a rut, just tune in. We'd be glad to share our positive stories with you and pull you out of that rut. Another main focus and another reason you should listen to this podcast is that it's for people that want just a little bit more. Maybe you're definitely not stuck in a rut. Maybe you're enjoying your job and enjoying your family and just you feel like your life is going great. But maybe you have that inkling that you need a little bit more, that there's something a little bit more out there for you. And that's what we want to share. We want to ask people when we bring them on as guests and say, hey, what's your little bit more? What is your thing that you're doing or that you're seeking after? What are your goals that are, pushing you to reach just a little bit higher?
Exactly. And I think life is so precious, and sometimes you can waste parts of your life away when you're so focused on doing just the day to day. And life is just this amazing, incredible experience that's hard and challenging and painful at times, but can also just be wonderful and amazing. And I think we just want to really push people to just get the most out of life and, push yourself a little more, put yourself out there a little more than you're comfortable.
Exactly. And that was reason number 3. Reason number 4 is that life's a journey, and we realize that we haven't arrived. And we're sure, a lot of you out there will feel the same way, that you haven't arrived yet at your goals. And we are obviously never going to arrive at all of our goals, but we just feel a strong need to share with others and provide a hand to help others up. I mean, we've had so many experiences, even lately, where people have just helped us and just given their time. One of my friends, came over and helped us move, and I wasn't even expecting it. I think that was just such a cool experience, especially after 2 years of mostly just serving others, which was great. But even just someone coming to help us move was just like this, wow, there's other people out there that want to help us. That's so cool. And maybe it's kind of crazy that we had those thoughts after those 2 years, but it was such a cool thought. And, we want to be that helping hand to you, whether it's reaching out or answering an email or connecting with us on Facebook or just listening to this show. We want to be able to help you. Reason number 5 is you'll learn different things and learn that you never have to settle. We did kind of talk about never having to settle, obviously, before, but there'll be different things on this podcast that hopefully you'll pick up from our guests and from our experiences too.
That's the cool part, is that we will be having a whole bunch of different guests, so we'll be getting different perspectives every week, so you won't be stuck just listening to us. You'll get to hear all sorts of different people and their experiences, which is... It's just such a cool thing to learn from when you get a whole bunch of different perspectives.
Yep. But ultimately, number 6 for this, reasons why you should listen. Our main goal is that you hear some of our ideas and the ideas of our guests and apply them to your own life. We don't believe that it's really worthwhile to hear something and just be like, yeah, that's cool. There's definitely some value to it, but there's so much more value to it if you're actually applying that to your own life, if you're using it as practical advice and applying it.
And that's what we always say when we finish our book or we went to the Leadership Summit last year. We always leave and we say to each other, okay, what can we do? What did we learn? What are we going to actually apply from that? Because otherwise, what have you really learned if you're not putting it into practice?
Yeah, what will you have learned from this podcast? And we hope that you can put some of the things you learned on this show into practice.
So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about what the show will look like. So obviously, Jordan and I will be hosting it. So you'll definitely be hearing a lot from us. Yep.
There will be some shows where it's just us. We're talking, and there'll be maybe some shows where I'm interviewing someone and some shows where Miranda's interviewing someone. It'll look like a mix of that.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good mix of voices and perspectives. And like we said before, we will also be having plenty of guests because I don't know how many times it can just be us talking. I don't know how much we have to say yet since this is just our first podcast. But like we said before, we're going to be having guests coming on and talking about their experiences, which is going to be really cool. And something else you can always guarantee from this podcast is a positive outlook. We always want to be uplifting. We don't want you to ever listen to our podcast and feel depressed afterwards. Like we said before, we want to be a positive voice. We want you guys to listen and to just feel like you can take on the day. So that's something else that we feel is going to be very consistent throughout this podcast. And finally, we will be ridiculous.
Yep.
As you can probably...
Do or do not. There is no try.
As you can probably tell, we're goofballs. We're a little bit weird, but we definitely are excited for this chance to share with you guys, and hopefully we're not so ridiculous that you can't stand to listen to us.
Yeah, and those glasses that were on the balloons in our logo, we're actually wearing those right now, and we'll probably be wearing them for most of the episodes, just because they're funny.
It puts me in the zone, for sure.
Yeah, I feel this sense of zen when I have these yellow glasses on.
Yeah, I feel like a different person.
Anyway, that's what the show is going to look like. What do you have to look forward to in the next couple episodes? In episode number 2, Miranda and I are going to be sharing our story. We're very excited about that, just to share that with you, just to talk about our history together, just what we've gone through and what's brought us up to this point. And then we'll talk a little bit about some of our life goals too, and just share those with you so you can kind of get to know us even more. We want to be vulnerable. We want to share our stories in a way that you can connect with, but also that you can just feel just a little bit closer to us. We don't want you to feel like these are just guests or these are just podcast hosts that you don't know. We want to make sure that we're coming across as real people. Episode number 3, we'll have a podcast guest. Me and Miranda will be interviewing. That person is a surprise guest for you.
It's a secret right now.
It is very much a secret. You will find out. Upon launch, you'll have actually all 3 of these episodes, so you'll be able to go over there and click over there and see exactly who it is if you're interested. But as of this point, it is a surprise.
And we're very excited to have our first guest. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, very much so. All right, so thank you so much for listening to this first episode with me and Miranda. We just wanted to let you know, or ask you real quick, if you could subscribe to this podcast. You can either do that by clicking the subscribe button on whatever player you used, you are using to listen to this right now, or go to my website, jmring.com/podcast, and you'll be able to sign up and subscribe there as well.
Yeah, and we're just very excited to go through this experience with you. If you have any comments or concerns, please feel free to contact us in any way. We are definitely looking for input. If there's somebody you think that we should interview, if we think you should interview you, just let us know.
Yeah, if you want to be interviewed, just let us know. I mean, it's a very strict, you have to answer a lot of questions for us to even consider that, but...
There's a really long application process.
Lots of numbers and lots of test questions.
There will be a math test.
No, seriously. If you're interested, just let us know, and we'll very much consider that. We have a nice guest list that we're putting together, and we're very excited to bring those people on and just to hear more perspectives and have you hear their stories.
Yeah, so thank you so much for listening to our first Freedomcast podcast.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. We will see you next time. Stay weird, friends.